Chrisean Rock's situation appears to have taken a terrible turn for the worse. According to recently released court documents, she is most likely going to serve 8 years in prison. This is the sentence we had heard rumors about, and it now appears inevitable. Although she has a lengthy history with the law and has avoided major repercussions in the past, her outrageous antics, particularly with Blueface, have got a hold of her. This is a tragic situation, especially since his parents' actions put him in this situation. Let's start by breaking down the mess that started back in February. What's even more heartbreaking is the impact on her son, Chrisean Jr. The poor child will now grow up without either of his parents, both of whom are facing jail time. 22. Chrisean was taken into custody in Oklahoma after driving a G-Wagon that had been stolen from Blueface and carrying cocaine. Chrisean entered a guilty plea to significant charges that included intent to distribute and possession of a controlled narcotic without a tax stamp, both of which carried the possibility of lengthy jail terms. However, the crime didn't end there. In addition to taking Blueface's automobile, she also broke. She broke into his home, took thousands of dollars, and did a lot of damage. She even left a horrific message, scrawled in blood, on the wall. "I love Blue." To make things worse, Blueface posted this terrifying information on Instagram, referring to it as final attraction vibes. Chrisean's mugshot was given by Blue's manager, Whack 100, who also described the full scope of the heist, demonstrating how careless her actions had been. This wasn't just a small infraction, it was a flagrant breach of Blue's property and trust. In spite of everything, Chrisean was released from jail and returned to court a year later. In a strange turn of events, she was given a lighter sentence rather than a jail term, receiving 4 years of probation. Her attorney contended that, because she had no prior criminal history, jail time would be too severe, and the judge also agreed that she had to perform 120 days of community service. However, as we all know, Chrisean did not fulfill her community service obligations, and a warrant was issued for her arrest. Rather than confront the music, Chrisean fled to Oklahoma and then California, knowing that she already had a warrant there as well. At this point, her legal issues were only increasing during the whole mess. In June of this year, Chrisean showed up to Blueface's court hearing with their son, but as soon as she got there, things took a turn, and Chrisean Jr. was taken from her. Chrisean's social media presence didn't help her either, as she even boasted online about her plans to clean up her mess and get out of her legal troubles as if doing so was some kind of flex. Put in handcuffs, and in a moment that seemed almost unreal, Chrisean was detained without warning. There were several warrants out for her, but Chrisean didn't seem to understand the seriousness of the issue, so she was very astonished and asked, "What's going on? Why am I being arrested?" It was a bizarre scene. Incident as reported by witnesses, Chrisean was arrested as soon as she arrived at the courthouse, where 5 LAPD officers were waiting for her. Following a thorough search, she was let out while the officers took her infant away. A flurry of judicial proceedings ensued, beginning with her 30-day jail sentence in Los Angeles on a misdemeanor assault charge. People assumed she would return home by Christmas. But as the case developed, it became evident that this was no trivial matter. The charges were much more serious than anyone had first believed. Chriseans are now facing 8 years in prison, a sentence resulting from the charges of failing to affix a tax stamp on controlled substances and possessing with intent to distribute, each of which carries a potential 4-year sentence, which adds up to a substantial amount of time spent in prison. This is where things get even more complicated because of her legal battles and the decisions that led her here. She is fighting for her freedom while her son is left without a stable home. Many people thought that Blueface would step up and take care of their son once Chrisean was locked up. But that won't be happening anytime soon because Blueface was recently sentenced to 4 years in prison himself. His concern for Junior was hurried away. It's also important to note that Blueface has never been very supportive of his son, publicly humiliating Junior by disclosing private medical information online and rejecting paternity before the baby was born. Blue hasn't shown any affection for the child, and when Chrisean was incarcerated, things got worse. Blue's parents made it apparent that they had no intention of caring for. It became clear that no one was taking charge of Junior when asked to look after him. It is tragic and preventable that Chrisean Rock is involved in this whole scenario. Chrisean Rock, a person who previously had hope for a better life, is now in a difficult and regrettable situation. The tragic truth is that this is a tale of poor decisions, and their unavoidably far-reaching effects. Her own downfall was caused by a series of reckless decisions that appeared to have been made in the heat of the moment, or out of a misguided belief that consequences could be avoided. These decisions also put her young son, Christian Jr., in a situation that no child should have to go through. Repercussions. Chrisean Rock's actions serve as a potent reminder of the perils of avoiding responsibilities, especially the need to make deliberate, forward-thinking decisions. It's simple to believe that you can avoid the repercussions of your actions or that laws and regulations don't apply to you. But Chrisean Rock has discovered the hard way that this kind of thinking is a surefire way to fail. It's critical to acknowledge the ramifications of her actions, regardless of whether they were the result of irresponsible behavior, bad judgment, or a simple lack of forethought. Her decisions have put her in a position where she faces legal repercussions, making it impossible for her to provide her child with the care he needs. Christian Jr. should have both parents' love and support as he grows up, but he doesn't have that vital. Christian Jr.'s lack of parental figures can have long-lasting effects on a child's development. And now that both parents are locked away, he must navigate life without the stability, nurturing, and guidance that he needs at such a formative age. This is not just a disruption to his childhood. It is a devastating blow to his emotional and psychological well-being. Growing up in a broken home with a lot of uncertainty is a reality. This situation serves as a stark reminder to everyone that our actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences cannot be undone. Avoiding responsibility, whether it be by avoiding the law, neglecting one's parental responsibilities, or ignoring the long-term effects of our choices, can have disastrous results. In addition to exposing a larger social problem, the absence of support networks for people stuck in harmful cycles of bad choices, Chrisean Rock may have thought she could outmaneuver the system, but in the end, her son suffers the consequences. Chrisean Rock's journey to this point was probably the consequence of several mistakes rather than just one. Combined bad mistakes with possibly inadequate resources or advice that could have assisted her in making better ones. While individual, accountability is important, systemic problems can exacerbate the difficulties people encounter. Without adequate assistance, many are more prone to develop behavioral patterns that endanger not only their own lives, but also the lives of their children. At the core of this story is, it may be simple to pass judgment on the defenseless kid Christian Jr., whose future now appears uncertain. Chrisean Rock, we also need to recognize the bigger factors that have led to this unfortunate and preventable situation. But in the end, this circumstance serves as a painful reminder of the value of accountability, responsibility, and lessons learned about foresight that could have avoided this devastating result. Things have taken an unexpected turn since Chrisean Rock's arrest and the removal of her son. Her friend Marsh stepped in to care for Christian Jr. while Christian was in custody. It's unclear if Marsh has full custody, but she is now responsible for the child's care because no one else has stepped up. Christian's actions have left a mess with many opinions. The situation is as it is, with Blueface's own actions portraying him as an absentee father despite his recent 4-year sentence. Some have questioned Christian's actions, saying she was more focused on supporting Blueface during her incarceration than her kid. Jaden, another voice in the mix, has been characterized as someone who sincerely tries to do the right thing. As this messy story continues, it is important to think about the decisions made by all parties involved. Should Christian have gone to court knowing that he could be arrested? Was Blueface justified in not supporting his son from the start? What about Christian, who could now spend almost 10 years in prison? Unfurl, but the drama isn't over yet. A heartbreaking new development has further rocked the internet. Ronnie Doe. In February, Christian's ex-boyfriend, who had long maintained that he was Christian Jr.'s biological father, was tragically shot and died. This occurred during a paternity dispute that may have validated his claims regarding Blueface's parentage. Authorities in Maryland have confirmed that it was a homicide. Ronnie didn't survive despite the efforts of the cops who raced to the site and tried to save his life. Since his uncle paid a heartfelt homage to Ronnie on social media, his passing has swiftly gained attention. His uncle conveyed his profound sadness, saying that losing Ronnie was like a nightmare and that his sudden death devastated him. The agony of losing a loved one was brought to light by the heartfelt message, and there is currently a public plea for justice. Rumors regarding Ronnie's relationship to Chrisean Rock and their ongoing paternity dispute are rife on the streets. Last year, Ronnie began asserting that he was Christian Jr.'s biological father rather than Blueface, and he even filed a lawsuit to support his claims. Ronnie shared information about the incident on social media, circumstance in which Christian is accused of lying and distorting the facts. Many people at the time rejected Ronnie's claims as nothing more than a publicity stunt, but he maintained that the DNA test results had not ruled him out as the father, suggesting there was a genuine chance that Junior may be his child. Critics charged that by tying himself to Christian's celebrity and taking advantage of the situation for his own benefit, he was trying to gain influence. Since Christian was a well-known person and any connection to her could raise someone's status, Ronnie insisted that his motives were not self-serving. He repeatedly stated that his only objective was to take responsibility for his child in the event that the paternity test showed that he was not the biological father. In fact, Ronnie's father. This was about accountability, making sure that, if Junior were Chrisean Rock's son, he would take charge and fulfill his paternal duties. This desire for clarity and responsibility spoke to a deeper sense of duty than the public spectacle or possible media attention that could result from being associated with his complex and well-publicized life. Of moral rectitude, despite public perceptions of his motivations. In addition, Ronnie brought up significant issues regarding Christian Jr.'s paternity, asserting that Blueface, Christian's other partner, knew that both men might have had contact with Christian at the time of conception. This information raised questions about Junior's paternity, adding an additional complexity to a situation that is already emotional and tense. Whether it turned out to be Ronnie or Blueface, Ronnie's determination that the truth be revealed demonstrated his dedication to making sure Christian Jr. would have a thorough understanding of his biological father. Interestingly, despite a DNA test in 2023, Blueface has had his own reservations about being Junior's father, appeared to validate his paternity. A complex scenario was further muddled when Blueface later revealed that he might not be the biological father after all. He even claimed to have surreptitiously taken another DNA test that suggested he wasn't the one. What does that leave? Christian Jr., the youngster, is currently enmeshed in a maze of doubt with no obvious answers regarding the identity of his father and the fact that both of his parents are dealing with serious legal issues. It's evident that there is a lot of dysfunction in the family dynamic, but the true victim of all of this is still Junior, who has been forced to grow up in an environment that no child should have to go through. Given everything, the question is still what kind of future Christian Jr. will have, and whether Christian and Blueface will ever take charge. As we wait for further information to surface, one thing is certain. This tragic situation is far from done, and there are many more twists yet to come. Will they ever take responsibility for their crimes? And will the truth regarding Junior's paternity ever come to light?